Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Olivia here, and I'm just going to quickly talk about what's happening right now. I'm sizing up some rugs because I'm going to use them as an outline for like the harbour wall type thing I'm building. I got this trick from watching Kate Emerald. I'll link the video down below where she explains how she kind of does this. And I'm just using these Get Famous pristine pedestals. If you don't have Get Famous, I believe that you can use, I think there's like base game white counters that work as well, but these are just really helpful. This does take ages, so I've tried to speed it up as fast as I can and include enough to show you how it works, but I also didn't want to include the whole thing because it takes a while. But basically, today's build, I had a note in my notes of like I've got a list of all the things that I want to build, and one of the ones was an Ariel inspired tiny house, but this didn't really turn out like one. It's obviously bigger than a tiny house, and I don't actually stick with this specific house that I've built here. I end up changing it because I build a waterfall, and the waterfall, it was just, they were too close together, so I ended up having to make the house smaller and move it over a little bit. But I wanted to do these like Disney sort of tiny house things, but it didn't end up that way. However, I have still designed this house around if Ariel lived there, and I did move Ariel and Eric and the daughter and the dog into the house. They're on the gallery if you want to download them. I'm not great at creating them, but I think I did an okay job. I think you can see them in the corner sometimes. But this is the waterfall here, and as you can see, I just built 3 swimming pools, and I coloured the water just to make it look a nice colour. I think the colour came with Parenthood possibly. But then I'm just putting some rocks, and then I'm adding these waterfalls that came in the debug menu with Island Living. Now, the waterfalls, they're kind of tricky because they don't, like when you're trying to place them, they obviously don't move, and you can't size them up and you can't size them down. You just have to stick with the size that you get. So that's why I was having to change the top pool up there, because I didn't actually realise that you could size it up or down, because when I tried it, the grid size was changing and I assumed that that was the waterfall changing, but no, it was just the grid size. The waterfall stayed the exact same size, and I just was using some rocks here just to try and cover up all the pieces of wall. Again, this was like really tedious work and it took me an awful long time, so I did cut out a lot of it. And then as you can see, I'm going back to our little harbour bit here, and I was just wanting to join it onto the wall there so that it was kind of an enclosed space. Because I had originally wanted to build an underwater house as well. You can't build underwater in the sea in Sulani, but you can build underwater in a swimming pool. But I really wanted to have this wall kind of area where our Sims could like swim in and out. And obviously Ariel's a mermaid. I made her daughter a mermaid as well. So I just wanted an area where they could easily swim in and out of their house. And if you choose a lot where you do a big swimming pool, they're confined to that lot, and at least here they could swim outside of their lot. One of the options here for doing the harbour wall, you can continue to place the pedestals. You probably just saw a little clip there that I did it. You can continue to place the pedestals on the bottom of the seafloor and then raise them up so that it looks like you've got a solid white wall. But I didn't have the time to do that, nor did I have the patience. So I decided to do like a wonky wall underneath just using the room tool. And I think it, like, obviously I know that it doesn't look great here, and as you can see as well, it was really tricky to kind of place the pedestals afterwards and try and get them to line up. But what I end up doing later is I just use rocks to kind of cover it up, and then it just looks like the wall is continuously all the way down to the ocean floor, which obviously is not. Saves a lot of time, and it also saves a lot of money because these like pedestals are, I think they're 1,000 simoleons each, which is ridiculous. So I had to like mother load this thing to death at the beginning. That was me just testing the waterfall, and it got attacked. I had no idea. I've not actually played in Sulani ever. I've built in Sulani a lot, but I've never actually played, so I had no idea that there was going to be like this volcano. Thankfully, it didn't affect it, and I was like, I cut it out because it was a bit embarrassing, but I spent ages like trying to get rid of it, and it just wouldn't go away, and the only option was to get like my sim to go touch it, which obviously I didn't want to do, but I think it just ended up like fading into a rock thing. One thing that I will say that was really annoying about this build is that I couldn't really like change the shape of rooms. I know I've just changed the shape of those ones, but yeah, see here, I had to build a room inside it and then delete it, because every time I would like try and change the shape of it, it moved the waterfall. I cut all of that out because it actually took me ages to realise that what I was doing was making the waterfall move. But yeah, if you're gonna do a build like this, I would suggest maybe like building the waterfall on another lot and then adding it to the gallery and then adding it into your build once you've built it, or build your house first, and then if the waterfall doesn't fit, you're just going to have to do what I did and place individual floor pieces, or use the custom room tool to size up and down your rooms. It didn't seem to affect it too much for the roof, but it was just an absolute nightmare for the whole thing, and it took me ages. My mum was wondering like what was taking me so long to do this build, because obviously she just thought it was meant to be a tiny home. It did not turn out to be that. I say the landscaping, maybe the seascaping, it just seemed to take forever to do. And then also this thing with having to place individual floor pieces, it was so tricky, and it really was quite tedious work, even though the house itself is not anything fancy at all. I wanted this build to be focused on the seascaping, because I've never in my life, I don't think I've ever done seascaping, like my first time. But I really enjoyed it, and all of the things that you get in the debug menu with the corals and starfish, and I didn't actually put fish in because, well, when I tried, they all just looked dead. Like, I put a starfish in, but maybe it was just me being stupid, maybe the fish do work, but I didn't actually go back in and put them in. So you have one starfish, and you've got like lots of corals, and you've got lots of plants and stuff that go underwater, and I think it just looks like a really nice little tropical place. I think it's somewhere that Ariel would love, and I put in things like a jet ski, and I put in a boat later so that Eric can be out in the sea. I also I didn't realise that this existed, but I also found like a shelf full of like scuba gear, and I put that in as well in case he wanted to, go diving with them, because obviously he can't because he's not a mermaid. So this house was really difficult for me to try and work out the interior. I ended up doing a little balcony bit up top just for one of the bedrooms, but I think I ended up changing the size of that later, which I possibly cut out because due to the waterfall, it was an absolute nightmare to try and change the size of it. But I just did it. I think, honestly, I think that this probably still could have counted as like a small home. So not like the tinier micro homes, but I think if I'd counted the tiles, it definitely could have counted as some sort of a small home. And I think that, I don't know, I was going to call it a small beach house, but I thought that maybe people would get mad because it's not technically on the tiny residential lot trait, but it's a small house, okay? I didn't make it very big. I wanted the focus to be on the surroundings, and I don't think that, even though Eric came from like royalty, even though he's a prince, I feel like him and Ariel just kind of want a place to place to chill. They wouldn't want somewhere super fancy. They don't need the big glitz and glam. So they do just have a small sort of beach hut, beach house type thing. It took me ages like trying to work out what to call this. I was like, oh, do I call it a small beach house, a small beach hut, Ariel's beach house? What? I went for Waterfall beach house because the waterfall is it's definitely like the star of the show. The house itself, I don't like I like the house. I think it's really cute. But the house is it's just so simple, and there's a few like knickknacks in it, a few bits and pieces, but it's nothing fancy. I I think I enjoyed building this more than I've enjoyed building really anything else before. But it was more so the landscape that I enjoyed doing. I'm just also used to like doing loads of trees and hills and grass and all that kind of thing. But this was so much colour, and everything was just so different to what I've usually built with before. And it's making me like, I have been slowly working through my file save. I was working on it on my MacBook, but now that I have a PC, I'm actually thinking that I just want to change the file save. I hadn't got past Newcrest, so it's not as if I like gotten very far with it at all. Because I did start it super late. Like I didn't start it at the beginning. So as every pack's come out, I've not been able to work on that. But everything like I was doing with this pack here, it just really made me want to do my Sulani file save. It was literally, I just love all the colours so much. You can see there that that's the scuba gear stuff I was talking about. I also had a bit of an issue placing that towel because it was like clipping with the corner, which I didn't realise it would do. I guess it was just a bit too low. And yeah, there I put in, well, it says a canoe. I think I suppose it looked more like a boat, but yeah, the canoe bit. And I also didn't realise, but that little fenced off area next to the volcano, that's like so turtles can go and give birth, like to their babies and stuff like that. Well, obviously they're giving birth to babies. Ugh, sorry, it's an early morning. I'm having to record this in the morning. My brain is not, it's not fully functioning yet. The build took so much longer than I thought yesterday, so having to record in the morning when people are at school and at work, but my brain is not yet functioning. For the kitchen and living dining area, I didn't do it very fancy. There is only the three of them, and I do add in like a dog bed and stuff later, but I just wanted the kitchen to I didn't want it to be the main focus. I wanted outside to be the main focus, like I said, and I'd wanted to put in like, you can get like a fireplace thing where you can grill stuff. I wanted to put that outside, but I couldn't find a place where it looked good. So they do have a regular kitchen, but I feel like they won't spend too much time in it. I think that they would go out, and I don't know, does Ariel eat fish? I put some like fish hanging out to dry as if they've just caught them, but I kind of started thinking about it and I was like, does Ariel eat fish? Because technically she's like half fish, but I don't know. I didn't want them to have to use the kitchen too much, but obviously I suppose they're gonna have to. But Sulani is great for like all their little outdoor bars and stuff, and I suppose they could just swim to places. So I don't think they need a super fancy kitchen or anything like that. And I think I made their bedrooms quite nice too. That first, the bluey kind of bedroom, that is Ariel and Eric's, and then this one here is Melody's. Melody has a kind of orangey, purple, pinky tail, so that's why I made her room that colour. And I just put a few plants and knickknacks around just to make the space look a wee bit more homey. And then I just started putting all of these things on the shelf here. I actually had quite a lot of fun placing on these shelves because I've never used them before because they're quite big. And then if you try and size them down, they leave like a dark shadow of the actual size that they are. They don't work quite as well sized down. So it's the first time me using them as full sized. And then these little corner shelves here, I just put some knickknacks and things like that, just to kind of fill up the shelves. And I thought that Ariel would have like kind of weird stuff, you know how she uses a fork to like brush her hair. I feel like maybe she's still not quite accustomed to the life of a normal person. And then just a wee, I know it's like a diary notebook thing, but I figured it would be like a cookbook. Once again, bathrooms, pet peeve, hate them. I don't know if that counts as pet peeve, but I just hate bathrooms. And so I did cut out quite a lot of it because they actually just end up being pretty similar. But yeah, just adding some little finishing touches here, and that is pretty much build done. That's Max having a swim there. If you like the video, give it a like and a subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys on Saturday with my LP.